How's everybody doing? Let's get rolling here. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, we're going to be talking about identity theft and scams just in time for the holiday season. It was kind of interesting. I really wish I would have rolled this episode out probably about a month ago. Right around Thanksgiving, I think would have been a good time as people really kicked off kind of their holiday shopping. During Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that. But anyway, here we go. We're here now. So I want to roll this in here. So identity thefts and scams. Okay, so how does this basically affect me? So identity theft can do the following. It can drain your bank account. Somebody can make purchases with your credit card or credit cards. They can open new account or new accounts, such as bank accounts. They can buy a cell phone. They can open utilities, credit cards, etc. And they can do all this in your name. They can get identity and government documents issued with your name and their photo. In other words, a driver's license or a passport. An individual could receive medical care under your insurance. Somebody could take out loans in your name, for example, like a home equity loan or an auto loan or a personal loan. They could create basically a false criminal record for you. So in other words, somebody steals your card, they go to the store, they use your information. Maybe they steal some extra stuff along the way and they get caught, and then they use your name and identity and then basically a criminal record now exists under you. And like I said, it can get kind of crazy. Someone could file a false tax return against you and collect a refund, and that is become a major scam in the last few years. Crazy as it sounds, they could get a job and have earnings reported as your income. Think about how crazy that is for a minute. What are some of the traditional tactics out there that are being used by identity thieves? So you have mail theft. You have what's called dumpster diving, which would be trash theft. In other words, somebody dives into your trash to try to pull out, see if maybe they can open up some of your trash bags, get receipts, get other sensitive documents. You have shoulder surfing. You have the good old classic, purse or wallet snatching. And then you have email phishing or email compromise. And then for anybody who works at corporate America or any small business owners out there, you have what's called business email compromise, what's known as BEC, where somebody can actually hack into your email. And that might require a little bit longer discussion, but they can do a couple things there. Sometimes they can either send fake emails to other people posing as you, or they could just sit there and just sit back and watch all of your emails and then just see what comes in and see what they can get a hold of. So, all right, let's take a look at some of the scams out there. So just always remember, before you divulge information, know with whom you are dealing. Never reply to messages asking for personal information, whether by phone, text, or mail. Never send money or account information in reply to notices that you maybe won a prize or the lottery, things like that. Give only to established charities. Do not fall for pressure tactics. In other words, somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, we got to have this information right now, or you're going to get in trouble." Well, one of my favorite scams is when somebody would call up and say, "Oh, you better give us your information because I got the IRS is coming to your house right now and they're going to arrest you." And that scam was going around for a little while. And then be wary of imposter scams. What I think a great example of that is if you have an elderly person and somebody calls up pretending to be their grandchild and says, "Hey, grandmom, hey, grandpapa, I'm in jail right now, and I need you to bail me out. Can you send the money to this place?" And then people fall for that. They run over to the bank and they go get money, and then they're going to go drop it off, and they don't even know kind of what's going on. So how can we check or how can we report fraud? So a great website to go to is the FTC. So you can go to Consumer.ftc.gov. FBI.gov, you can look up the scams and safety page, which is a very good page that the FBI has, just kind of telling you what are all the different scams that are kind of out there at the moment and different things you should look for. How do you report fraud? Well, you can report fraud to the Federal Trade Commission, and there's a website and a telephone number right there, reportfraud.ftc.gov. You can contact the Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is Ic3.gov. You can also contact the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, which is basically postalinspectors.uspis.gov. So that's how some of the ways you could basically check and report fraud. So now let's get into credit cards. So with credit cards, some of the things you should do with credit cards. So you should make a list of your card account numbers, their expiration dates, and customer service phone numbers, and you should keep that in a secure place. You should check your card activity and your bank account information regularly. Do not allow websites to remember your card number. And one of the things to point out, I believe there was a law that was just passed that basically says that websites can't retain your credit card information any longer. It now has to be kept somewhere else. And that's so if you say you go to a website and that website has a store, and you go into the store and then you're going to buy something and check out, you should have to put your credit card information in. It should not save your credit card information because that website is I don't believe is allowed to retain that any longer. So if it is, obviously that might be something to be concerned about. So consider using a credit monitoring service such as Credit Karma, like creditkarma.com. Report and investigate any questionable charges to your card immediately. So like if you're using your debit card and you go to check your bank account and you see some charges on there, you want to report that immediately to the bank. When you receive replacement cards, make sure you shred and completely destroy the old cards. Get out a pair of, if you don't have a shred machine, get out a pair of scissors and really cut those things up. I mean, cut them into 20 different pieces and toss them in the trash. That way nobody could possibly, put that thing back together. Do not give card information over the phone unless you made the call or who you are dealing with on the other end of that phone. Another thing to think about this time of year with credit cards versus debit cards. So I think there are people out there that would basically recommend to basically say only use credit cards. Don't ever use a debit card. I don't know if that's always practical, but I think during the holiday season in particular, when the fraud really kind of gets ratcheted up and a lot of things are going on, and you've got a lot just things happening, and maybe you might not be paying as much attention as you would the rest of the months of the year when things aren't quite as hectic. So I would definitely recommend using a credit card during the November and December when you're out there buying a lot of gifts and a lot of things online. Now, why is that? So if you have, say you've got an American Express card and you have it and fraud happens, well, you're going to get a fraud notification from American Express. You simply make a call back to them and say, hey, those aren't my charges. I wasn't in this state, didn't make that charges at that period of time. Please take those charges off my account. American Express will automatically freeze those charges. They'll take them off your account. I mean, they'll still conduct an investigation, and then they'll probably get back to you and say, yeah, we removed those charges. But them removing the charges becomes almost instantaneous. You don't have to wait or anything like that. If you should use a debit card, say one day you notice there's $1,500 of fraudulent charges on your account. Well, you have to go to the bank. You have to file a report at the bank, and then the bank has to do an investigation. They're not just going to automatically just hand the $1,500 right back to you. They're going to conduct an investigation. They're going to try to find out if what you're saying is true and accurate. And if it is, then they basically give you the money back. And in the meantime, you might have to freeze that account, open up a whole new account, get a whole new debit card. You might have to go through the whole, kind of rigmarole to get that situation squared away so that you're not getting any more fraudulent activity. And to boot, it could take a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or so until that investigation from the bank is completed and they determine whether or not that was in fact fraudulent activity. So your money can get really tied up while you're waiting for all that stuff to be, taken care of. So that's why I think it's better during the holidays to just use your credit card. Use your credit card and because again, when you use your credit card, again that money's going on the credit and it's not coming directly out of your account, and you can just pay that bill off at the end of the month. And it's real easy to log into whoever's MasterCard, AMX, or whatever. Just check your account real quick, see what transactions are on there, and match them up with receipts and stuff that you have, and then you know that everything is fine and good. So like I said, just kind of a sidebar, but just something I wanted to add in there. Okay, so things to do here. So and these are critical. Watch out for card skimmers when going to the gas station or the ATM. If you don't know what a card skimmer is, a card skimmer is kind of like an overlay that can get put on an ATM machine, or it can get put on the card reader at a gas pump. And they also have they can have little keyboards too that they can put over to get your PIN number. So you want to be real careful, want to really keep an eye out for skimmers. Consider using what's called an RFID blocking card carriers and protectors. Like, in other words, in your wallet, you can just get a slim little card. You could put your debit and your credit card inside that and then put it back in your wallet, or you can get an RFID blocking wallet. That can help protect some of your information. Avoid using public or shared computers, which I always recommend. Be careful when using Wi-Fi at airports, hotels, and other public places. I think you should. I don't know if you should. I say consider using a VPN. I think you should just always use a VPN service to protect your information. When using a public Wi-Fi, but you should be using VPN. No matter what you're on, whether you're on your computer or wherever. What are some of the cyber threats that are out there? And I'm not going to go into all this stuff in detail because we can all look through this. But malware. You have things called catfishing. You have phishing like phishing your emails, and then you have smishing and vishing. So what is smishing and vishing? So they are very similar to phishing, but this is when criminals use automated dialing systems to call or text you with messages intended to trick you into sharing personal information. The message will direct you to a phone number or a website that asks you for information. So you got to be very careful about smishing and vishing. One of the things that you might get is a fraudulent text message saying we're contacting you from a fraud center, and they need you to confirm a bunch of information, and they give you like a bogus 800 number to call back. That's something to watch out for. So, again, from a personal computer perspective, make sure your firewall protection is good. Make sure your antivirus is current. Make sure your anti-malware programs are current. Make sure they're all up to date and functioning properly to protect you from all kinds of different viruses and malware and different things that are out there. Some other tips to consider. When making passwords, create passwords that are at least 10 to 12 characters long and include a combination of capital and lowercase letters, along with digits and special characters. Consider using a password manager. We all have a ton. I mean, everything requires passengers and multi authentication and everything like that. So there are a number of different password manager apps and programs out there right now. I would definitely recommend at least looking into it and checking it out, seeing if it's something that might work for you. Do not use the same password for multiple accounts. When going to a website, look for security indicators such as HTTPS. In other words, what that means when you go to a website and it has HTTPS at the beginning, that means it is a secure website, or that website is paying for a certain amount of security on the back end. And so that's a good thing. That's something that you definitely want to look out for when you're going to different websites. And then, as terrible as this may seem, but you should definitely protect your information at work. Don't be too trusting that, every one of your coworkers, unfortunately, is going to be an honest person. So what to do if you have identity theft? What should you do? Call any business where fraud took place, ask to speak to the fraud department, and say your identity has been stolen. Number 2, place an initial fraud alert on your credit files. So in other words, you want to contact Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You want to order a credit report. You can go to freecreditreport.com. And you can get one free credit report per year, but definitely go get your copy of your credit report and see what's on there. Number 4, you should freeze your credit with all 3 credit bureaus. So in other words, when you're on there and you're filing that fraud claim, you should also freeze your credit so that hopefully nothing else can come through. Then you should consider filing a complaint about the theft with the FTC. And then number 6, you should consider filing a police report depending on what it is. Obviously, if it's a credit card or a debit card thing, maybe that's not such a big deal. If it's some of those things that we mentioned earlier, like somebody tried to take out a loan in your name, somebody tried to get a job in your name, somebody tried to create fake documents like driver's license and passport, and then tried to go use that to maybe get insurance or do something else. That is a much bigger, deeper type of identity theft, and something that, you should definitely consider filing police reports for something like that. Going on here, so you should definitely close any type of fraudulent accounts that have been opened. You should get proof of the fraudulent activity. You should get rid of, get rid of the fraudulent charges, and then correct credit report errors. Certainly wherever you can when you get all that information. And then consider keeping an extended fraud alert on your credit card profiles. And I believe, no matter what credit bureau you go to, say we go to TransUnion. So if you go to TransUnion and you put a fraud alert, I believe that will automatically show up on the other ones as well, and vice versa. So I believe that to be the case. And then number 12, look into identity theft protection services that are out there on the market. And then finally, we're going to wrap up. I have kind of a list here of helpful websites. For anyone in the podcast audience, I'm actually going to copy this list of websites, and I will put this in the description link at the bottom, just so you can go in and you can look at the websites if you want to. But I've got basically the 3 credit bureaus: the Better Business Bureau, the FTC, Identitytheft.gov, IRS, IC3, Stay Safe Online, DHS, and Cisa. So a whole bunch of good websites and different things to check out there. I'm really just made this video because I really wanted people just to be safe this time of year. I have dealt over my career with a lot of identity theft and a lot of crazy stuff that happens out there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of elder abuse. There's a lot of people that not only take advantage of strangers, but sadly enough, take advantage of a lot of their family members. And you see that all the time. It's a crazy thing kind of working in banking, and the amount of all this kind of different theft that you see. I mean, I did last week I did an episode on check fraud. One of these days I'll get around to doing an episode on all the different types of cyber fraud and like wire fraud and all the different types of fraud that hit banks. But it's like I said, it's amazing how much fraud that you come across, how many things you see. And I hate to say it makes you a little skeptical and jaded, but it does. You see it for so many years and decades. It does have an effect on you. So, but like I said, I wanted to make this episode just because I want people to be safe out there. I want people to be smart in what they're doing. And if you do have an identity theft issue, I wanted you to have some a good idea as to how to deal with that. What are some of the action steps to take? And so hopefully you got something out of this, and maybe there's a family member or a friend or a younger child or somebody that you have that you might want to share this with. Hopefully it will end up being very good information for them and can save them some hassle. And one last thing I would like to point out: if you don't freeze your credit, you should highly think about freezing your credit. It's very easy to do. A lot of times you can just do it over the app from either Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. It doesn't cost anything to freeze your credit, and it can really help prevent anything bad from happening should you lose credit cards or your wallet or something like that goes on out there. So but anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, please leave those down below. I'll definitely try to get back to you as soon as possible. And please make sure to check us out. We are on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on all major podcast platforms. Please make sure to go to thebankernextdoor.com. Next couple of weeks, I have some really good episodes coming out. Some of the next episodes on the cyber series, part 5 and part 6 are going to be coming out. I'm going to be doing a banking update. I'm going to have some episodes on the national debt, on interest rates, on the yield curve. I've got some great interviews scheduled that'll be coming up in January. which is really look forward. And then on the 31st, I'm going to do kind of a year-end wrap-up episode, which, again, just kind of recapping like some of the events and things that happened throughout the year. Covering my first, 3-4 months as a podcaster, which has been a lot of interesting and fun so far. But hope everyone comes back to check it in. Hope everyone enjoys and has a great week, and definitely talk to you guys again next week. Thank you so much and enjoy.